Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you this morning to discuss how to transform the Department of the Interior for the 21st century. My name is Shawn Regan, and I'm a research fellow at PERC, the Property and Environment Research Center, a nonprofit institute in Bozeman, Montana, where I study public land issues. My testimony today offers several proposals that would help transform the Interior Department by making it more effective at accomplishing its core missions, by making it more responsive to the needs of local managers and communities on the ground, and by encouraging more cooperation instead of conflict over public land issues. In short, I will suggest today that much could be done to transform or reorganize the Interior Department, and as a Westerner who sees firsthand the effects of many of the department's policies, I thank the committee for taking up this important topic. As you know, the Interior Department is by far the nation's largest landowner. Altogether, the department manages more than 1/5 of the United States. The vast majority of this land is located in western states, which is why some have referred to Interior as the Department of the West. Because of this large federal footprint, many western land issues, from livestock grazing and energy development to timber harvesting and recreation, are matters of national policy rather than merely of state or local concern. Yet they occur thousands of miles from Interior's headquarters here in Washington, D.C. This is problematic for several reasons. First, it is outdated and impractical for the challenges the department faces today. This centralization of the Interior Department is largely the legacy of the progressive movement of the early 20th century, a time when the dominant view was that the nation's natural resources would be best managed not by locals, but by experts in federal bureaus. These experts, it was believed, would efficiently allocate the nation's resources in the public's interests using comprehensive planning, all allegedly guided by science and insulated from political influences. That, however, has not been the case, and the progressive era faith in centralized control has been widely rejected since then. Yet the core structures of our federal land institutions, many of which were created during this earlier era, still largely reflect that underlying belief. Second, federal land management is costly and inefficient. Despite controlling valuable natural resources, our federal land agencies often lose money managing them. Meanwhile, state agencies that manage similar resources consistently generate net revenues. The high costs of federal management stem from Interior's large bureaucracies that are hampered by red tape, creating what some agency officials have called analysis paralysis or a Gordian knot of laws and regulations. Third, public lands are increasingly prone to conflict and litigation. Across the West, the Interior Department is involved in a wide variety of seemingly local issues, such as determining the number of livestock that should be grazed, which roads and trails should allow for which types of uses, and the locations where resource development or environmental protection are most appropriate. Yet today, these issues are far more likely to produce acrimony and lawsuits than they are to result in cooperation or negotiation among competing users. Decisions are too often made in Washington or in the courts rather than being made by local managers or resolved cooperatively on the ground by the people most impacted by them. My written testimony explores several specific policy ideas which come from a recent report published by PERC that offers reform ideas for Interior. These include innovative management approaches that would provide greater flexibility for local managers while retaining federal oversight and accountability. In short, by defining the desired management outcomes and then decentralizing control to local land managers. In addition, my testimony suggests ways to improve national park management by granting more decision-making authority to local park managers, stemming in part from my experience in the National Park Service, where I worked for several years as a ranger. Specifically, Congress should ensure that park managers have more authority to address critical maintenance and operational needs on their own from user fee revenues without having to rely entirely on congressional appropriations and without additional approvals from regional or national directors. I also suggest ways to resolve disputes over grazing on western rangelands in a cooperative, mutually beneficial manner, ways to grant more authority to tribes over the use of their own natural resources, and ways to adopt market-based measures to reduce conflicts over resource development issues while protecting local environmental values. Congress is right to consider how to restructure or reform the Interior Department to ensure that it is better connected to the people in the communities most affected by its policies, and to make it more effective at carrying out its core missions. Thank you again for the opportunity to present my views on this important subject, and I look forward to answering any questions you might have.
Mr. Regan, thank you for your testimony.